Microphone is off. I just realized that. You guys missed the epic intro where I just like throw out F-bombs left and right. No, just kidding. But thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to talk about, will Bitcoin slaughter end? Bitcoin went even lower today, and the crypto market is looking very, very, very ugly. So what is causing it? Will it continue? Is this the start of crypto winter? Should you give up on Bitcoin and crypto? I'm going to answer all those questions today. And I have an inside source with some good information to share with you guys. So make sure you don't miss that. So let's get started. Thanks for tuning in. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. 2 streams almost every day. Make sure you follow me on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and check out CryptosRUs.com. All right, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm still not feeling so happy. Last night, you guys know the type of stream I had. I was very frustrated. Very, very, very frustrated. Indeed, that frustration has not gone away because it seems like it's just a continuation today. It's more the same. Wall Street is going nutty right now and just doing all the wrong moves in anticipation of what's to come next week. Right, so look at CNBC, all red, every single index red. Tech continues to be sold off, and look at all these headlines about crypto tumble, Bitcoin falling, if Bitcoin blows 40,000, there's no more support. I mean, it's like doomsday, right? Like this is the type of day you don't want to go to any publication like CNBC or MarketWatch or Yahoo Finance because it's just bad. It's just bad. I mean, look at Netflix. It's still down over 20% in a single day. Has that ever happened before? Coinbase down close to 12%. And it was even lower earlier today. MicroStrategy down 12%. Riot down 10%. Okay, so obviously Wall Street is still on a rampage to sell off tech, to sell off as much as possible right now. And this is what we're seeing, okay? NASDAQ sold off. Bitcoin is selling off. The altcoin markets are selling off. It seems like this is never going to end. In fact, looking at this, the sentiment, I show the fear and greed index for crypto. The sentiment for NASDAQ is actually lower now than March of 2020 when the pandemic first started and everything went down and there was a black swan event. In fact, right now is more bearish than then. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's how it feels right now. It's the same thing with Bitcoin. Even though, yes, we're in the 30s, the sentiment now is more bearish than when Bitcoin was below 4,000 back in March of 2020, right? So that's how things have really, really changed. And of course, this is all in anticipation of next week, whether the Fed is going to be hawkish, which no one wants at this point, or dovish, where they're going to be less aggressive and back off maybe on some of the rate hikes and the number of points and the tapering and all that stuff. So this is what's happening right now, right? The slaughterhouse that we are in is because of these traders just not knowing what to do. And yes, they are traders. They're not investors. They're traders. So they're trying to be very reactive, trying to preserve what they have. They may be losing out on a lot because they don't care. They're traders. They're not investors like the rest of us, right? And that is why they're doing this right now. And unfortunately, they have all the power right now because they have billions to trillions at their disposal. Okay, so when will this end? Okay, there's good news and bad news in terms of when this will end. Because the good news is that this FOMC meeting is, this is the wrong calendar, but it is going to start January 25th to 26th. So that is next Tuesday and Wednesday. So from now, we got the weekend, then we got Monday, then we have Tuesday when things start. And then when Wednesday comes, okay, that's when we'll probably get signs of something, right? Whether or not the market gets a relief rally because it's hinted that they're going to be dovish instead of hawkish, right? So that could come next week, okay? So that's the good news. The bad news is if they continue to be hawkish, despite the bad economic reports that's been coming out, well, it's going to cause the market to sell off even more. That's a certainty at this point, right? So really, all eyes are on the Fed, what they say next week. So whether or not the slaughterhouse will end will be determined next week, all right? At least short term. Short term, not 5 years from now, within the next few months, going to towards the latter half of this year, although we just started. But I think what they say will ultimately decide short term what's going to happen, because that is what Wall Street is reacting to. They're already making all the moves. If the Fed says things that's more dovish, more in line with what they think will be good, the traders are going to come back in and they're going to buy hard. They're going to FOMO in hard. And we're going to get a relief rally, and we're going to see not only the equities market go up, but Bitcoin and crypto go up with it tremendously. And seeing how much we have sold off, we're probably going to see a bigger relief rally with crypto than with equities, right? However, the bad news is if it comes out really, really bad, at least to what traders think, we may even have a bigger sell-off. But I have some good news about that. So hold on. Now, in addition to this, right, I've said, traders are very reactive. There's a couple other things that's going on right now that some of you guys may be paying attention to. Geopolitical stuff, right? For example, U.S. and Russia talking about Ukraine, because we know that Russia wants to invade Ukraine and the U.S. does not want that to happen, right? So there's still talks going on. This is also ongoing, and this is probably adding some pressure to the market. So it's not 100% based on the Fed, but I do think probably like 90% of it is. But this is also contributing. Obviously, if the talks break down and Russia does decide to invade Ukraine, what is the U.S. going to do? Are we going to stand still? Are we going to get in? If there is something that comes out of this, well, this will also not be good for the global economic situation, right? For global economic recovery, this will probably not be good for that. And then there's also talks about now China invading Taiwan. This has been ongoing for decades, and now it seems like this has come up again, mostly because the semiconductor industry is dominated by Taiwan. Because of TSMC, they pretty much produce the world's most valuable chips. Everything is created in TSMC, and there's talks about how China can invade Taiwan just to get it. And then there's talks about if they do, should Taiwan just destroy the factory, right? So then it would make their invasion pointless. So there's talks about this too. Now, whether or not this is really going to take place within this year, I don't know. But there's also talks and tension about this too. But if this also on board, happens, well, this is not going to be good for anyone, because those chips are very valuable. All of our semiconductor, our computer chips, our mobile chips, the chips in the cars that has been, impossible to get, they're all from Taiwan. So if that somehow gets taken over or destroyed, that would be a pretty big reset in terms of electronics for quite a long time. Except Samsung does have their own factories, but they're still very limited and not as big as TSMC. So this is also something else that's going on. Okay, so in addition, like I said, traders very reactive to what the Fed is going to do. There's some geopolitical stuff that's adding to the downtrend right now, right? Some pressure, yes. And of course, what's not helping is the leverage traders that continue to leverage and leverage and leverage and leverage. And over the past day, close to another $750 million worth of longs liquidated. So again, this doesn't help things either. Not only for the people that got wrecked, but this is causing a whole lot of down pressure, sell pressure on an already weak market, and it's causing people to get wrecked, causing the market to get wrecked. So this is also not helping at all. Stop leveraging. Don't think that you can win with leverage. You can't. Just stop. And not only are you wrecking yourself, like I said, you're wrecking everyone else. This is putting so much pressure on the market. When you have $750 million worth of BTC liquidated on a weak market, that's huge. That's absolutely huge. You don't want to do that. You don't want to bring everyone down with you, right? It's like instead of jumping off a building, you're driving a bus off a building or something, right? Like you're taking everyone with you. Don't do that. If you want to, do something bad, just do it to yourself, not to everyone else. All right. So that's leverage, and don't do it, right? But with all this said, are there any good news, George? Because it sounds like you're very bearish and everything looks bad, and it seems like we're going to crypto winter and everything is going to go to hell, right? That's what it sounds like. And my answer to that is, short term, yes. I'm going to be real with you guys, because if those Fed numbers are hawkish, if Russia, invades Ukraine, if China invades Taiwan, these are things that's not going to help the market. They're not going to help the market at all. It's going to cause more turmoil, prolonged bear trend. Keep in mind I said trend, not market, trend. Yes, we are in a bear trend. However, we will get through this. We will get through this. And here's the reasons why. Okay, first of all, these traders that I call, these traders that are being very reactive, they're not really knowing what's going on, right? You might think they know. You might think just because they appear on TV and they have, billions of dollars under management, they're all knowing, right? Most of the time they don't. If they did, those hedge funds would be up millions and millions of percents every year. No, in fact, last year, they underperformed versus the S&P. They underperformed versus Bitcoin. So did they really know more than us? I don't know. That's questionable. And something else that's questionable is this. I'm pretty sure Peter Schiff today is having a really good day trying to troll Michael Saylor and all the Bitcoiners. Yet, you could see that gold is also down. So the traders, the ones that are trying to get off their risk on asset like tech and Bitcoin and going risk off, are they really buying gold? No, they're not. So gold is not going any higher. Gold is still lower than it was 12 years ago, right? So, and look at silver. Silver also went down. So that proves my point. It's like, even if they were going by their playbook from before, they would be buying gold and silver and loading up on precious metals because they're seen as a hedge against economic turmoil and inflation. But they're not even doing that, right? So what they're doing is just, they're trying to wait and see, basically. Sell off, prepare cash, and wait and see. That's what it seems like it's going on right now, which means, like I said, there could be a huge relief rally. If we do get that, what's going to happen? All these traders, all their money is going to fly back into the market and push us straight back up to where we were. So that is a possibility. They're not dumping all their billions into gold and causing it to go up. No, they're not doing that. It seems like they're just preparing for cash, making sure they have cash on the side, right? And that's why I've stressed having cash on the side is so important, so that you could take advantage of low bargain prices like right now, right? So, looking at the headlines, Bitcoin dumps to a 6-month low. Yes, right? Yes, that is true. Historically, Bitcoin had many corrections like this before. So again, if you think this is the worst correction we had, or the start of something that is going to be, equivalent to crypto winter, just know that Bitcoin, yes, have gone through so many of these periods, sometimes down 80-something%, but a lot of times 30-something%, sometimes 40, sometimes 50%, sometimes 60%, right? So Bitcoin has always been able to get itself back up, right, and continue forward. And I still believe that, because I still think right now the best hedge against inflation, which is still ongoing, and against economic uncertainty, the best is still Bitcoin. And this ultimately will drive it forward and drive it up. This is why someone like Michael Saylor will not sell $5 billion of his stash. He just doesn't care because he also gets this. He gets that there is nothing better. There's no asset better on planet Earth. And maybe not everyone realizes that, but it's the fact. It's true. Every other asset on Earth can be inflated. You could always create and mine more gold, more silver, more copper. You could dig for more oil. You can create more stocks. You can't create more Bitcoin. It's governed by code, right? So he realizes it and I realize it. So even though short term, we may have volatility and continued bull and bear trend, but the money will flow back in as people come to their senses and realize this is the best asset to hold. All right, there's other good news. I've talked about fear and greed index, right? Fear. When there's massive fear, a lot of fear, clumps of fear, when everyone is about to get out, usually that's also a sign of when things come back up, right? You could see it during crypto winter, during the pandemic Black Swan event, during the last few times we had dips in 2021, and now, right? The more fear that we see, the more likely that we're going to get that reversal, right? And that could come around the corner and we get that relief rally. If it doesn't and we go down more, well, we're going to get more red. But again, right, it's one of those contrarian type of viewpoints, and it works because generally speaking, when you have so much fear and retail have gone completely, what's left? The holders, and they continue to hold, and then you go find that base price, and then once you get that, you continue back up as people start coming back in, especially with all these traders that have cash on the side right now because they're not putting into gold, they're waiting and seeing. So when they're coming back, they're going to come back hard. They're going to cause a lot of volatility in the right direction. That's upwards. Okay. Now, something else I want to say that I think is important. Oh, before I get to that, inflation. Okay, you guys know about inflation. I talked about it. You hear about it on news all the time, right? If you don't believe it, just look at this. I'm going to show you this real quick. The number of sats that you could buy today versus last year versus 5 years ago versus 10 years ago with a single dollar. And that keeps decreasing. It never comes back. Maybe only 1 year it did because we had a really bad year for Bitcoin. But other than that year, it keeps dropping. So again, this goes back to the point of the best asset to hold to hedge against inflation. It's Bitcoin, right? You put gold over here, it's not the same story. Gold will actually be losing against the dollar. That's how bad it is. So what else is there, okay? It's just Bitcoin. All right, so my last point I want to talk about is this. So, can Bitcoin go lower? All right? And the answer is yes. But I have some good news. I have some really good news. I don't think anyone's going to share this because I just got this information from my source before I started streaming. So, take a look at this. Someone posted this saying, hey, this shows Bitcoin could be on the way back up, or there could be more downs. So what this is measuring, the line below, is the weekly RSI. Okay, weekly RSI. So you could see previous times during previous cycles and bear cycles, you could see that once Bitcoin hit that weekly mark, and it looks like it's around 30, it generally kind of flatline, and then we have a sudden dip down, and then we have a recovery afterwards, okay? So it happened in 2015, it happened in 2018, it happened in 2020, and now we're at that same point. We're at that same weekly RSI, so we can flip back up from here, or we have a little bit of a bigger dip afterwards, and then we flip up. But here's the good news. I was looking at this. I'm like, why do we have those sudden dips all of a sudden, right? If we flatline, and this is very transparent, apparent in 2018, after Bitcoin hit the high of 2017, started coming down in 2018, it flatlined around 6,000. I remember it because I was streaming and we hovered there for literally a year around 6,000. And then boom, we fell down to 3,100. Like, why? Why did that happen? Right? And then the same thing, 2020, we were doing pretty good. We kind of flatlined around 6,000 or 7,000, and then we came down to about 3,800 because of the pandemic, right? But why all of a sudden a huge sudden drop? Who has enough Bitcoin to make that happen? You know who? The miners. Miners made that happen. The miners capitulated because at that point, their profitability was in the negative, was in the red, and they needed to sell off to pay for operations. And to prove that point, here's the total hash rate. So you could see when Bitcoin first fell down in 2021 from 64,000 when the miners got kicked out of China, you can see that was one of the biggest drops we've ever seen in total hash rate. But prior times, like March of 2020, you could see that there was a pretty significant dip here, a little bit more in May, right? And then here is October when Bitcoin had a little dip too. So every time the miners, when they capitulate and they sell off and they sell off hard, that's usually when you have that point where things seem solid and then it drops down, right? Like what we have seen before. But here's the thing. Here's my counter to that. Why we're not in the same situation is this. Look at the total hash rate on the very right. We are at an all-time high. The Bitcoin miners are nowhere close to capitulating. They are very, very, very profitable. They continue to buy more ASIC miners and continue to mine away. So my source I was just talking to, and I'm not going to name the name of this company, but I've interviewed this person from this company before, and she told me that the cost average to mine a single Bitcoin for them is around $21,000 to $22,000 right now. Okay? So there's no danger right now. If Bitcoin falls below 21,000, that's when you could have that sudden drop, like what we've seen before, right? So if you zoom out and you look at sometimes these doomsday drops that come out of nowhere, and I have to zoom out really far because look at how high we've gone. But if you look at some of these previous periods where we had like a doomsday drop out of nowhere, like here, we were flat, boom, down. Over here, boom, down, right? That's when the miners capitulated because Bitcoin was basically not profitable for them, right? So in order for Bitcoin to have that same kind of moment where people are speculating, oh, maybe we drop down to 20,000 or something like that, we would have to drop below 20,000 for the miners to capitulate right now. So we're nowhere close to that. None whatsoever. However, if we do fall below 20,000, then we better get ready because they will be capitulating and be selling again. But that is not the case. We are far from that, right? So in the meantime, even with this slump we're going through, the miners continue to power the network, continue to hold on, and continue to hold, right, their Bitcoin. And that's very important. So bottom line is they're not selling. And that's important because the miners hold a substantial amount of Bitcoin. And we know the other holders, long-term holders, the previous miners, and the guys like Michael Saylor and his compadres, everyone in here, and the funds like Grayscale, they're not selling. That's a whole lot of Bitcoins locked up that is not moving, right? So whatever volatility we're seeing with Wall Street, their traders, what they're selling, they're utilizing futures, they're utilizing options, they're utilizing whatever's left on the exchanges. They're doing what they can, but that portion is getting smaller and smaller because the long-term holders and the miners, they're not doing anything. They're not selling. They continue to add and they continue to hold. And that is where we're going to eventually find that bottom point and then come right back up. Because of that, that's how we're going to form a base. And every time we form a base, it's higher than before, and it's higher than before, and higher than before, right? So, there you go. There you go. All right, guys. Hopefully that helped answer some of your questions. Right now, I mean, to be honest, we're going to see more volatility from now to about next Tuesday. It does not mean that we're just going to continue to dive and dive and dive more. No, we could have some wild swings, especially this weekend because of low volume. We could have some wild swings. Maybe we have a good recovery, right? And then come back down next week. We're going to see a lot of volatility from now till next Tuesday, until Wall Street hears about what Powell wants to do and whether or not what he says is hawkish or dovish. So we just have to wait and see, right? And then that'll be a very telling sign of how the market is going to react, because these traders, they're all going to be reactive. And they're going to either put all their money back in, and you're going to see a colossal relief rally, and we're going to see a massive FOMO, which will be very fantastic for Bitcoin and crypto, right? But if we don't, then we could see a prolonged bear trend for a little bit until we find that bottom, and then we finally continue back up, right? So that, I think, is exactly what's going to happen. All right, guys, that is it. Off topic, Don asks, when is the next George NFT go come out? I've been holding off on it. I actually have it done. I may just post it today since you asked, but I do have it done. All right, guys, let's do some Q&A. Robin says, "Have you seen a Netflix chart? I showed it. That's not a Purdue chart. I mean, this is how. Granted that Netflix came out. I mean, they had good earnings, but they're saying, competition is high, right? That's why they didn't gain as much subscribers. But there's no reason for them to be sold off 21% in a single day. And I don't know what they're off from their high of 700 back in November, right? That's almost a 50% drop. So, this shows you that Wall Street, a lot of these companies are just basically being traded. They're not really being held on to, right? And that is why, a lot of these stocks get hammered, because they're just tradable assets. They're not really, or tradable stock. They're not even an asset. They're not an investment. Unlike the bigger boys who have more investors. And I think that's the difference between crypto and stocks. Because crypto is really meant to be an investment, especially Bitcoin. Bitcoin's meant to be investment. It's meant to be held for a long time, not meant to be traded short term. When you get into Bitcoin and it's on its way up, it's the greatest feeling ever. When on the way down, it's not so good, right? But Bitcoin always comes back. It comes down to patience, and it comes down to whether or not you're an investor or a trader. All right. I don't know if I missed the last super chat, so I apologize. Let's see if I missed anything. Oh, my dogs aren't here. All right, I'm back. All right. How can you prove miners are selling? They have many wallets. Well, usually, generally speaking, you can track them. And generally speaking, if they're selling, they're not just selling. They're also turning off their hash power, because it makes no sense that they would continue to mine if it's unprofitable, right? That's why we have seen major drops with the hash power. So that's also a good indicator whether or not they're profitable or not. Oh, by the way, something that's very surprising about Bitcoin is, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Raoul Paul got in an argument with someone named Greg Foss, who I'm not familiar with. But, Raoul Paul was a very big Bitcoin bull, okay? Recently, he's come to, I guess, seen as the dark side. Been talking a lot about Ethereum, making some bold Ethereum predictions, which got laughed at. But to be fair, I made bold predictions, and a lot of them were wrong too. But he got into this fight because Greg Foss just like, told him that he sucks and he blows. But anyways, what comes down to is, take a look at this. And that is your issue. I don't share your philosophy, so you attack me. Really, this is why I hold only one Bitcoin. The community has lost sight of inclusion, and you, sir, are helping reduce the network effect by excluding people who don't share your view from the network. I don't know how to take that. I get how Bitcoin maxis could be like toxic, right? But screw the Bitcoin maxis. If you believe in Bitcoin, you believe it's the best hedge against inflation. You believe that the adoption that we're seeing from the countries and from financial apps and from companies and banks and financial industry, right? If you see all that and you believe, you would be holding more than one Bitcoin. I mean, this is really surprising that he said he only has one Bitcoin. I mean, most of you guys in here probably have owned more Bitcoin. I shouldn't say most, but a lot of you guys probably own more Bitcoin than Rule Paul at this point. I don't know. That to me, that doesn't sit right with me. I don't know. Like I like altcoins. I've been telling you guys, I love L1s. I love network protocols. I love DeFi, but I still love Bitcoin. I hold way more than one Bitcoin. So I don't know. Just to throw that out there. Vaylon says, I got in 30K last year. I bought the dip again. What can I do? Keep positive. Congratulations, man. DCA, buying long term, right? Over the long term. That's success. That's path to success. Tuna is 69 cents at Aldi. I'm stacking VET, HBAR, and Quant. You know what? I used to, when I was really hardcore in my diet and weightlifting, I would eat those cans of tuna like there's no tomorrow, man. And I got so sick of the water ones because they're so nasty. So then I would have to mix in the oil ones. But it's hard to find the oil ones. But, I mean, in terms of calories to protein ratio, I don't think you could beat a can of tuna. I think that's the best you can get, other than protein powder. Let's see. Cobra Kai. I did watch it. I did not like season 4. I really loved the first season of Cobra Kai, and then it got worse and worse and worse. I feel like, yeah, I mean, it's a show meant for teenagers. Too much teenager drama and unrealistic teenager fighting in the school and the houses and all that. They would all be thrown in juvie and jail. But what I liked was the tournament, and it's just all screwed up. I mean, it was a really interesting show, and now I just feel like it's too cheesy. Let's see. I don't know what else is there. Be honest, are you buying right now? I have bought. I didn't buy yesterday or today, but I have been buying. I've been throwing like 20K, 30K here, there into some of these projects. And I just continue to DCA. Dog's still telling you to grab a bag of XRP. That is one that I haven't bought. I have not bought for years. George, I robbed a bank like you said to get more fiat. Now I'm on the run. Now what? Well, Tom, I can't help you there. Use your newfound fiat to find some shelter and buy some Bitcoin. You think now is time to buy the dip, or will it go down? I would say wait until next Tuesday. I think between now and next Tuesday, I mean, it's not bad to buy right now, but I think the market's going to be wonky and volatile until next Tuesday, until we get some kind of definitive answer from the Fed what they're going to do. I think that is probably the smartest thing to do at this point. Sorry, I don't have money, but I want a DCA. All coins are down. Which ones to choose? Everything looks good. In my opinion, I'm going with the chains with the most TVL. I think these are the ones to concentrate on. Ethereum, Terra, Binance Smart Chain, Avalanche, Solana, Phantom, Polygon. Especially these top 7. I stop at 7 because I don't support Tron. And some of these other ones are a little bit too early. But I do like Harmony. Harmony is also a good one. Oops. My mouse just died. Yeah, my mouse just died, so now I can't get off the stream. Hold on a second. Let me try change the battery of my mouse. Oh boy, that's not the right one. I don't have a battery. I don't have a battery. Hold on, guys. I have to change the batteries. I can't scroll or do anything without it. All right, I'm back. Let me see if this battery change works. Yep, it does. All right, I apologize for that. But anyways, going back to my point, L1s, D7 especially, great averages. I also like Harmony a lot, and I think Elron is a good one too. So these are the ones that have a lot of TVL, so these are the ones I would say DCA into. Thoughts on CRO? I think when the market picks up, they will continue on. You know, they were driven really by their marketing. Is this still live? All right. My thing is all screwed up right now. There we go. VV licensed NFTs, yes. Check out what's coming up. I'm very familiar with them. I think they're going to be a powerhouse in the future. As NFTs get bigger, licensing become more of a priority for companies. VVs go really lead the way with that. What are the risks of losing all net liquidity pools in DeFi Kingdom? Well, you just said the risk would be losing it all, but it's very unlikely unless I don't even know, unless all the liquidity pools get bank runned and drained out, but it's unlikely, but you could definitely lose, especially the value of Jewel goes down, which it has been. So, but you just said your own risk, right? Everyone needs some stress relief. Did you get my email offer for some personal training barter? Probably not. Maybe, but I appreciate it. But I'll do my own business. Do you recommend storage for your different crypto? You mean like which wallets? Is that what you're asking about? There's a lot of wallets out there, right? If you're leaving on exchanges, make sure absolutely you have 2FA turn on, which I think almost every exchange forces you to do anyways. But when I talk about 2FA, you don't want to do email, you don't want to do text, because if you get SIM hacked, you're going to lose it all. So don't use that ever. Use like an app like Google Authenticator or Authy, right? But besides them, you know, Trust Wallet, mobile wallets are good. Trust Wallet, a lot of browser-based wallet, MetaMask, TerraStation, hardware wallets like Ledger and Treasure. I think they're all good. I mean, they all come a long way. Their ease of use is much better now versus even 4 years ago. Am I trending? I hope I am. I don't know. It'll be nice to get hashtag I am George trending on Twitter. Maybe you guys can help me with that, and I'll contribute. Atomic Wallet. I've heard of them, never used them, but I've heard good things about them. What happened to BDT? I don't like anything in the Tron ecosystem. There's no plan. I don't know what's going on with them. So yeah. All right, guys, I'll let you guys go. Overall, you know what? The massacre is still going on. Markets are getting crushed everywhere. Tech is getting crushed. Netflix is getting crushed. Coinbase is getting crushed. Miners are getting crushed. Altcoins are getting crushed. Bitcoin is getting crushed, all right? Unfortunately, this is what's happening. The traders from Wall Street, they don't know what the hell is going on, and they are being very, 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 very reactive. They're very scared, and they're all trying to anticipate what's going to happen next week. So we need to basically buckle in, stay strong, okay? And we need to continue forward because we are investors, not traders, and we need to prepare for what may be coming. But like I said in this video, we will get through it. And right now, there's no panic about the miners dumping, at least not yet, right? And that, I think, is a big deal because in the prior times when Bitcoin had big dips, it's because the miners capitulated. But right now, the miners are nowhere close to that, so that's very positive. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Smash a like, subscribe to the channel. I just realized today's Friday, so I don't normally stream Friday, so I may not stream today. I may put out a video, but if I don't, then, you know, I'll catch you guys tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right? Have a good one, guys. Take care. Be strong, and have a good one. All right. Bye-bye.